have a problem. And no, for once in my life, we are not talking about the great and classic Beartooth song. We are talking about reading. I have a problem. The problem is me and my ADHD. We are we. And we are yikes. I obviously have a lot of physical TBR. I obviously have a lot of books in general. I also have access to several local library cards, which means that this is essentially times 100. What that also means is that I tend to read a lot of books at a time. Chey, what? You read like 3, 4, 5? Try 50. I wish I was kidding. I was reading 50 at the time that I came up with this video idea, and in fact, that's kind of why I came up with this video idea. As sort of a little intervention rehabilitation for myself. And just a fun little experiment. Now for some clarification, I don't typically read 50 books at a time. Typically, it's only 30 to 40. I have moderation. I am capable of it. I do not know anyone else in my life that does this to this degree, and I do not do this to be quirky. I do this because there's a problem. And that problem is just that I'm a serious mood reader. Well, I know some people that may read like 10 books at a time, depending on, you know, they get some library loans in, and then they have to return them, and then they're reading some of their own books while they're waiting on the loan. That's perfectly normal. I'm pretty much actively reading 30 to 40 books. I'm gonna be even more generous. I'm gonna say 25 to 40 books at a time. Now, Chey, why? Number one, because a lot of them tend to be library loans, which I then don't finish because I'm mood reading something else and they go back into the library, but I don't want to take them off my currently reading because I put a hold on them to come back in as soon as I can, so I'm still reading them. The others are for my actual fees. Too many fees going on in the world these days. My physical TBR. Why can't I just finish what I start? Jury is still out on that one. I have been asking myself that question since 4 years old, since I was capable of internal intellectual remembrance thought. I have gotten better about it. My currently reading would disagree. I have gotten better about it, at least in other areas of my life. And so now it's time to improve this one, right? Yeah. So what are we gonna do about it? Well, for the next 2 weeks, I'm going to be focusing on one book at a time. I know. It's revolutionary. It's uncouth. It's unfettered. It's really disturbing in some aspects, really. But I have to follow my heart. So, as I said, the general premise is just going to be for 2 weeks, I'm going to focus on one single book at a time. Another reason I came up with this premise specifically is because I found that I typically do well if I'm reading a couple books, but the couple that I'm reading, if there's a few that I'm really close to finishing them, like more than halfway through, and then there's a few that I am at the beginning of, because when I finish the ones I'm closer to finishing, I finish them and it gives me the dopamine rush to then go and get the books that I'm in the beginning of and read to the halfway point, and then I have another one ready to end. You know what I mean? So it's like, finish, start. And so, hey, if I do that one after the other, compound interest, I don't know, I didn't do that well in personal finance. The other reason is just because it's different. I've never really done something like this before, and so I thought it would be fun. Most of the challenges I do are typically end goal based. Like, I have a TBR I want to hit. I have a certain page count that I want to hit. But I've never really done something that's kind of open-ended. 10 pages a day on my main channel does count. It's essentially a challenge where I pick out a book and I read 10 pages in it every single day until I finish the book, and I do that all year long to get rid of some of the longest lasting books on my shelf and some nonfiction. So I guess that kind of counts, but nothing like a challenge like this. And this is going to be pretty open-ended. I don't really have a set goal for the end of it. I don't have a certain amount of books. I don't have a certain TBR I want to do. I just genuinely want to see how this makes me feel, how I do, what it reveals about my reading habits and me. Maybe I'll learn something new. Maybe I'll learn something I don't like, and then that will help me inform my reading habits in the future. Now, there are a couple of rules, a couple of exceptions. I mentioned my 10 pages a day challenge video. That's not going to count towards this because this video would take longer than 2 weeks. I only read 10 pages a day at a time. So I will still be reading my 10 pages a day book. That will not count towards the one book that I am focusing on at a time, and I think that's reasonable. Another category that will not count is books that I'm reading for videos. I don't mean vlogs. I'm not currently really doing any other vlogs right now. I've put those on hold to do this. But I do have a project on my main channel that I'm working on right now that does involve me reading some books. But I'm reading them to take notes, to script and stuff like that. It's not me sitting down like, whoo, pleasure reading, fun time reading. I mean, I'm having fun, but it's not recreational reading. So those will not count. Everything else, yeah, I gotta count it one book at a time. And for the sake of this challenge, I'm not going to try to finish as many books as possible. Obviously, I want to, but I'm not going to stress myself to finish as many as possible. I think that would go against the vibe of the challenge. I just want to take my normal reading habits, but just apply this one restriction to them. And also, I'm currently reading Musashi. I think that's how you pronounce it. Like the 700-page samurai novel. So that might be the only book I finish in this video. But no, I hope to finish a couple in this video, and I hope to finish as many as possible, but I'm not going to hold myself to some crazy standard, because I do that too much already. And I think, I just decided this, but I think once I'm done with my current library loans, I don't think I will get any more until this challenge is over. That way I can focus on some of my current read TBRs. And I think it goes without saying, too, that I'm going to focus on my currently reading TBRs. I'm not going to add anything... I'm not going to add too many new things. I have been good about focusing on my currently reading, so I think as a treat, I can add one or so. But I'm mostly going to work on my currently reading TBR, because she needs to get back under control. And I think the very first thing we're going to start with is the Big Nate graphic novel that I currently have on loan from the library, because I have like 50 pages left in it. So that'll be an easy win. Then, like I said, I also have Musashi. I really need to look up how to pronounce that, and editing Chey is going to hate me. I think that's right, though. I have that, I have the audiobook for The Bronze Key, and I have the audiobook for The Only Good Indians. Or is it The Only Good Indian? Is it plural or singular, Steven? It's plural. I do have physical books of The Only Good Indians and The Bronze Key, so I will be... Is it tandem reading? I will be swapping between the audio and the physical book. But I typically like to have an audiobook on hand from my library as something that I can listen to besides music or a podcast whenever I go to work. So I think we'll do Big Nate, The Bronze Key, get another book out of that series read, and then I will probably work on The Only Good Indians, because it's kind of short. I have both the audio and the physical. I could get that done, and that would get all of my other library loans out of the way. That way I can work on the big guy. And it is very possible that part of the way through this, I may feel like I'm not going to get this done. I want to get some other stuff done, and I may turn in my loan early and put it on hold just to get it again later. That way we can get some more momentum in this. But I'm not going to count myself out yet, because I am loving the book. It's just that it's so long. That's a good thing, because I get more time to enjoy it, but yeah. Good morning. It's day one. It's morning one. I just woke up and already I'm having some trouble. Not because I haven't yet had my coffee, but because I'm already wanting to read a book that I am not going to focus on first. So I filmed the intro last night, so that makes this the first official morning of the challenge. I woke up this morning and I really wanted to start it in on The Bronze Key while I was making my breakfast, like listen to a few minutes of the audiobook. But I can't do that because technically I haven't chosen any book yet. I know in the video I said Big Nate, like in the intro I said Big Nate, and I think that's what I'm going to stick with, but I haven't yet finished it because I was going to wait till today. I could have started yesterday, Sunday evening, but I didn't want to start more than halfway through the day. That didn't seem fair, so I figured Monday would be the better place to get a fresh start. That all being said, I do want to stick with Big Nate as my first choice, and I'll be able to easily read that once I get my breakfast going and sit down in the living room. But I already had my first little, like, man, I want to do something else while sitting in bed this morning. Obviously not the worst feeling in the world. I just thought it was kind of funny. I was like, we literally just woke up and we're already feeling like this, girl. Come on. Come on now. So I will talk to you when I have Big Nate, when I finish him, and then when I'm going to start Bronze Key. I think that's what I'm doing. I think I'm going to finish Big Nate this morning, and then on the way to work, I'm going to listen to the Bronze Key as much as I can on audio. Because it's only like an 8-hour audiobook, and I'm already like an hour and a half into it. And then when I, like, if I listen to it on the way to work, and like, listen to it on the way back, that is 180 minutes if I listen at 3x speed. But I'll probably read a little bit physically this morning to make sure that I really understand what's going on. And that'll get me even further ahead. And then by the time I get back, I think I'll be able to read, maybe even finish it this evening. I doubt it. I'm not going to try, but if I do, I do. We'll see. We'll see. Okay, first book, Big Nate, Say Goodbye to Dork City, officially done. I'm just gonna give it 4.5 stars, nothing wrong with it, but I've read funnier Big Nate books. I love, Big Nate is like a comfort novel for me. Okay, graphic novel, comic, whatever you want to call it. I love those books. I think they're so fun. But, and I'm trying to read through all of them. I know, but just casually. Not like trying to binge read, just whenever one's available for my library, I'm like, yeah, give me that. Give me that free dopamine. So, and also, it's just a nice change. It's like reading a manga whenever you've been reading just a bunch of novels. It's just a nice visual change. So yeah, this wasn't my favorite Nate one. I liked the one previously a little bit better, Dibs on This Chair. But, I mean, there's nothing wrong with it. Like, it was still good. I still laughed. It was still cute. But, yeah, Just good. Not a new favorite, but great. No, I'm gonna say great. Good is more of a 3-star. It was great. Yeah. And if you've never read the Big Nate, like, comics or whatnot, I highly recommend you try them if you just want, like, a fun, chill, like, middle grade. I guess he would be middle grade because he is a middle schooler. Just, like, fun little comic time. I'd recommend. Now I'm going to start the Bronze Key. I am 21% in because I listened to 35 minutes of the audiobook. 35 minutes of the audiobook got me 21% in. I do have the physical book here, like I've said, but I'm going to be listening to this on the way to work and then on the way back. I think the actual book is in my room, so I'll have to go get it in a minute. But yeah, this is going to be my next one. But we've already finished one today. That's pretty sick. Not going to lie. Considering that I'm on chapter 5 with this, and this book is only 240-something pages, I feel like I could very realistically finish this one tonight, but I'm not going to push myself to do it. I guess I should probably tell you what the Bronze Key is, right? The Bronze Key is the third book in the Magisterium series by Holly Black and Cassandra Clare. This is, I think it's middle grade or early YA series that is reminiscent of Percy Jackson and that other magical school that we don't really no longer talk about. And I also just got a notification that the next Big Nate novel, Hold, came in. That would be a nice little reprieve after I do. We'll talk about that in a minute. Anyway, this series is reminiscent of just like a magical school series. Troop of friends, a triangle of friends who all have different abilities in this magical system, this magical world, but it's really interesting and it's really engaging. It is middle grade and it is sort of early YA. I think it's a little bit older than middle grade, sort of like maybe early high school and like middle school, but I think it's written in a way that you can enjoy it as an adult, aka me. And it's just a refreshing take on the magical school setting, the magical school trope for these younger readers, for these younger characters, and getting to watch them grow up, getting to watch them evolve in their maturity and their thought process, where they originally came from and what they're learning from each other, what they're learning from the adversity that they're facing in the world. It's fun. It's an intriguing world. It's full of intriguing enemies. And I was gonna say there's nothing mind-blowing about it, and it doesn't have to be. It's still written really well. It has interesting characters. I know I'm repeating myself, but it is 8 a.m. and I'm in the middle of my coffee. I'm always interested in seeing where it's going to go, how it's going to end up, and what they're going to face next. And I think that's, a big point of the joy of it. It's just like, what are they going to get up to next, and how are they going to get out of it? This is the third book in the series, so obviously I can't talk too much about it. But if you are missing the magical school friendship setting, I would recommend this to you. Or if you have a younger reader in your life that you want to introduce them to that kind of setup, this would be a series that I would recommend to you so far. Yeah, I'm interested to see how it goes, because I would love to finish this series out this year. It's only 5 books, and I'm on the third one, so it wouldn't take very much. But yeah, I'm having a fun time with it, and I'll catch up with you, I guess, at the end of the day. We'll see how it goes. We'll see how my focus lasts. Hello, I'm in the car on the way to work, and I'm gonna make this short because I'm sure it probably connected to Bluetooth, and I don't feel like disconnecting it, only to reconnect it seconds later. I finished the chapter I was on in the Bronze Key, and now I'm going to start from chapter 6 on the way to work, and I will update you where I'm at on my way home when I get home from work. It's already way too hot to be wearing this like thin hoodie, but it is cold in some places in the venue. That is why I'm wearing it. Why I wore it in the car? It is absolutely stunning outside. It's going to be almost 70 degrees and sunny in February, and people are like, ooh, but that just means it's going to get rough in March, and tornado season is going to be even rougher than last year, so I'll probably be living in my basement all of April again. I hope not. I hope that by speaking it won't. I hope it'll be a pleasant and peaceful spring for the most part. So yeah, I'm gonna get to work, and I'm gonna go listen to this audiobook, and I'm feeling pretty good about it. Honestly, making a little bit of progress in this one book on the back of finishing one book feels pretty good. It's going to be interesting to see how that differs when reading short books versus long books. Like, I wonder if it's going to be more of a difficulty because it's going to take me longer, obviously, so we'll see. So, I'm now at work, if you couldn't tell by the fact that I'm in a concert venue. So, I made it to work. Yay. Everything's good. But I read 10% in just the time it took me to get to work. I was about, 9 technically. So I was 26% in when I started my drive, and then getting here and I did sit in the parking lot a little bit before it was time for me to come in and listen a little bit more, but by the time that was done, I was 35% in. So another 10% on the way home means I will be nearly halfway through the book. And just like 2 listening sessions. I'm cranking through this, buddy. I am cranking this hog. And I'm really enjoying it so far. I'll talk more about it later when I get to the halfway point, but that felt like a nice little victory, you know? Like a nice little payoff. I am officially back home, and I have an update for you because we are now halfway through the book. As predicted, by the time that I got home, I was 51% through the book, and I had started into the next chapter, so I just came in, sat down, grabbed the physical book, and finished out that chapter, so now I am 58% of the way through it, and I have 3.5 hours left in the audiobook, so I literally just might go ahead and finish it tonight. I might do some journaling while listening to the audiobook or something like that, and then might start a new book, might just let my brain rest. I don't know, we'll see, but I'm feeling like I'm definitely gonna finish this tonight. So let's talk about it halfway through. I'm loving this. It is kind of an Agatha Christie mystery, so there's only so much I can talk about, right? Because it's the 3rd book in the series. We're halfway through the series. But there is a lot of discussion around, like, there's this spy, there's this traitor within the Magisterium who's trying to take out our group of friends, specifically trying to take out Call and Aaron and Tamara. Like, it's looking at them as like collateral damage, but it seems like it's really coming after Call, and so they're trying to figure out A, why, when for the same reasons they could be coming after Aaron, and B, is it the same person that's been doing the various things throughout these books and trying to eliminate suspects, and it's turning them on each other at points. Because anyone and everyone could be a suspect. There's proof for everyone that's been brought up, and that's the scary part, right? I think it's doing a very good job at keeping it a mystery, because like I said, there is proof for everyone and everything, and the motives that are brought up make sense. And it's also not leaning too heavily on one certain person or another to try and like an obvious red herring or even a not obvious red herring. It all feels pretty well balanced, and I love that. Because it even has me being like, I don't know, like, I see various ways it could go, and I wouldn't be surprised if it were any of these people, but I feel like it's still gonna surprise me. Like, I don't think that it's gonna be any of these people that have been mentioned. But then again, it could do the pleasant surprise and actually make it one of the people that's been mentioned, but for reasons that they did not know because they didn't have the information, and I think that would still work. I don't think it needs to be a totally out of left field person that comes out of nowhere like, oh, haha, I was in the shadows the whole time. No, I'm very interested to see how this one's gonna shake out. There is some elements of middle school drama and also middle school chaos, but not in a way that's annoying, just in a way that I'm like, wow, that takes me back. Remember when that was a worry that I had? Who liked who? Remember when that was a thing? It's cute. It is cute. There are points also where these kids make decisions because they're kids, right? They're preteens, they're early teens, they're younger kids, and they make certain decisions where you're like, oh no, like, no. Like, they have not learned yet. For instance, there's some things that they cannot tell people that they trust, right? There's some things that they cannot tell, but then there's other things where they're like, oh, I can't tell them this. And with the hindsight of an adult, you're like, no, you should have mentioned this. Like, not even from the perspective of someone reading the book, just from the perspective of an adult. Being like, no, that's the time to mention that thing. That's the time. But I don't mind it. It's not annoying because they're kids, so I think it's written pretty accurately for the ages that it represents. And I like that all the side characters that have been established in this book still have a role to play. They come in when they're needed. They come in when they add something. And I like the world that it's building. Okay, y'all, I officially have great news. We've finished out The Broken Key, the 3rd book in the Magisterium series. That is 2 books in one day. Mark it down. Yes, one was a comic/graphic novel, and one was a middle grade fantasy. Just shut your mouth. It's 2 books in one day, and I'm very proud of that. And it's progress in 2 series. So, double achievement time for me. Again, can't say too much about it. I will tell you, this is my favorite book in the series so far. And I had to go spoil myself on one aspect, because I was like, no, because I was emotional at something, and I was like, no, that can't be the way that ends. I need to go spoil myself to make sure that it's gonna be okay. Because if it's not, I'm going to be upset. And that is very out of character for me, but this book moved me to do that. I had to know. I had to know. And I'm not going to tell you what it was. I'm not going to tell you whether or not I was relieved by what I found. That's how well done it was. It ended up that I wasn't surprised by who it was, but it also wasn't obvious who it was. I think that was played really well. I think that the action played really well. Again, you have the frustration where they're kids making decisions and you're like, just tell an adult, but you're not that old wise enough to you know how kids are. And they do have valid reasons, because like they're afraid of this or one reason or another, or they have excuses because their logic works differently, not just because they're like, well, we can't, we're getting in trouble. That comes up, but they typically do have more reasoning than that. And that's another thing I like about these books, is these kids, they aren't treated like dumb kids. They're just treated as future adults who don't yet have the experience that they need to handle situations like these, and they have to learn it and they have to deal with it with the knowledge and with the experience that they do have. And a lot of that relies on friendship, love, trust, belief in themselves and what they can do. And that's kind of beautiful. That's really beautiful, honestly. I hope that I summed that up really well, but I really enjoyed this. I can't wait to get to the 4th book in the series. I already have it on my wish list on Libby. The audiobook was really well done, too. I actually put in the wish list for the audiobook on Libby, so we'll see. We'll see. But I really enjoy this. I really, really encourage you, if you need a good middle grade or know someone who does, to check out this series. Because I don't really see anyone talk about it, but then again, I don't really watch a lot of middle grade reading booktubers. I think the only person that I do kind of watch that reads is Gavin, and I don't know that he's read this, but I really enjoyed this. It was funny, it was action filled, it was heartfelt, and I was eating it up. I was eating it up chapter after chapter, obviously, and I just couldn't put it down. I loved it. What a wild ride, and you can read them all in a day. Well, you could technically read all of them in a day. I wouldn't recommend that. You need to take some of your time with it, but you can read them all in various days. Now, I'm going to give my brain a break, and I'm going to watch a Kurosawa movie that I have yet to see, and then I'm going to decide on my next book. I'm currently debating on whether or not to start Musashi. I'm already 75 pages into it, according to how my Libby font thing is set up. I've got to stop doing the hand grabby motions like that. I'm loving it every time I'm reading it. It's just that it's such a big book. It's so big. It's so big. And I'm scared. That's a lie. I'm not scared, because I'm having a good time with it. But what I am scared of is, if I pick it to be my focus book, what if I don't finish it by the time this video is done, and you just get 3 books in this vlog? But Chey, that's not the goal. The goal is not to have concrete goals. The goal is just to see how we do with this experiment. Yeah, but what's not going to be as exciting? It's not going to be as exciting. It's not going to be as satisfying. Then again, this might also be the ultimate triumph. That if I focus on it and I absolutely fly through it, what a triumph story for me. You know, like what an ultimate thing of being like, hey, look, when you focus on one book at a time, look at the crazy stuff you can do. So I don't know. I know that I do want to attempt it in this video. So here's my tentative plan. If I do decide to start on it and I get to a point where I feel like this is taking too long, it's not, because also another thing that could happen, right, is I start reading it, but then I feel like I'm being rushed to finish it because I want to finish it before the end of this video. If I feel like I'm getting to that point while I'm reading it, if I choose to read it, I think what I will do as a compromise is I will stop myself and I will return the book to the library and put it on hold. That way it's out of my ownership and I can just pivot to another book. I think that's fair to say, considering that it is a giant book. Or, since Musashi is 5 books in one, I could just read one book at a time. No, that would be too confusing. I think I'm going to do, if I decide to read it, but I get to a point where it's stressing me out more than I'm enjoying it in terms of finishing it, then I will just return it to my library and then pivot a focus to a different book. I think that's fair. Movie is officially finished. It was really good, and I texted Nat asking her what I should do, and she responded that personally she would not read the book for this video because, as she logically and very wisely says, books of that caliber are sort of projects of their own. And I told her, I said, honestly, that is very logical, fair, and valid. Unfortunately, I am insane. And so I'm leaning towards doing it anyway. I'm going to sleep on it. I'm not going to read any more tonight, except in my 10 pages a day book, because I haven't done that today. But that's okay. I said it doesn't count, so it doesn't count. But I'm going to get in bed. I'm going to read that. And I need to get up early to go to the record store to work my shift. So, yeah, I'm just going to ride the high of finishing those 2 books today and just call it a night. I'm just going to call it a night. And we'll talk in the morning. Well, let's give you an update on how today felt. Why is my arm itchy? Nothing has bitten me again, right? How did today go? Today, I honestly felt like overall it went really well. Now, as I said, we'll see how much this changes when it gets to some longer works, aka if I decide to do this big guy. But right now, it felt so good just to get that one book out of the way first thing in the morning. Great dopamine hit. And then to be able to finish this, granted I was already like 60 pages into it, but being able to finish almost 200 pages and finish another book in the same day, crazy how much you can do when you actually focus on one thing at a time. And so it felt good. I felt accomplished. I do kind of like this. So far, we'll see how I feel in 2 weeks. Right now, I feel like this could be my equivalent of like a 24-hour readathon, but more effective. So instead of like a 24-hour readathon, which I do love to do, maybe sometimes just be like, hey, for a week, I'm going to focus on one book at a time. Like when I get too many current reads going. I feel like preemptively, that's how I'm feeling. Because it feels that good. And honestly, it feels that doable. All the time? No. But maybe like a week or so at a time. We'll see how I feel in 2 weeks. But yeah, it feels good for now. And so I'm gonna go brush my teeth and jump into bed and go to sleep. Good night. To be quite frank with you, I did not end up reading anything today, and I think it was part of being in the waiting mode to pick of what I'm going to read. So I've decided I'm going to read Musashi. I'm going to try it tomorrow, starting fresh, because tomorrow I don't have any work at my usual jobs. I'm here at home, working from home, and so I'll have more time to read. Wow, my hair is all stuck in my glass. I'll fix that in a minute. Tomorrow will be a day that I will be able to read almost to my heart's content. I will use tomorrow as a gauge. I will read this book, and if at the end of the day I feel like I had ample opportunity to read, I will gauge how much I got read, and if I feel like it is a realistic expectation to finish this in a realistic time frame, I will continue. But if I feel that it's not, then I will return it, let the next person borrow it, and we will move along. Sound good? Sounds good. Because, man, how awesome would it be to finish that in this vlog and be like, I did it. Look what I can do focusing on one at a time. But that's the dopamine talking. That is the dopamine challenge talking. And it's like, do I want to do one big thing? Or do I want to do many smaller things? I'll talk to you tomorrow. Today was a bust, but it was a needed bust. I thought my glasses were broken, but it's just a reflection right there. That's crazy. I thought a piece was missing. That's wild. Whoa. I should go to bed. It's 9 a.m. and I did not read anything last night. And it was a rough night. Not as rough as it could have been, but it was a rough night. And I'll tell you why. If you don't like discussions about dog health, dog bad health, this is your official warning to skip ahead about a minute. There'll also be timestamps and stuff down below, but I'm giving you time now as I tell you this. If you don't like talks about dog health, dogs being unhealthy, then skip ahead about a minute. Okay, good, gone. Sam is prone to seizures. Sam is my husky, and he had another one last night. It's not his worst I've ever seen. Bub woke me up at about 2 a.m. barking like crazy at him. Second time he's done this. Checked the camera. He wouldn't do anything, so I went down there, called him, and he was like hassling a lot, and I was like, oh, I know what's about to happen. So I put Bub away, and I was able to sit with Sam and just work him through it. It took about an hour. His last one was that I saw was really bad, and it was over an hour. This one was just about an hour, and so not the worst I've seen. I feel like I'm also getting better at helping him too, which is nice. But yeah, he seems okay now. He seems fine. But that was my 2 a.m. wake up call, so I slept in until about 9 a.m. this morning. I think we both needed it. So, like I said, everything seems fine now. Everything seems cool. He typically has about one a month. We don't exactly know the cause, and the finding the cause is too expensive. So we just do what we can, do what I can. I'm the one that's here. But yeah, everything seems cool now. Everything seems fine. But that was just, I'm tired. I'm tired. So I didn't read anything last night. That's obviously not why that happened at 2 a.m. But I just was tired by the time that I got in bed. But I'm gonna stick with what I told you today. I'm gonna stick with reading as much as I can in that book today, seeing how I feel about it. And if I don't feel proud of my progress, if it doesn't feel like realistic progress, then I'm just gonna divert. But I really hope that I can get a lot read today. I really hope that I can, because I really want to finish this book. I feel like if I give myself the time to binge it, I could do really well. But for now, I need coffee and I need food. Okay, change of plans. Who's shocked? Not me. I have just now decided, thanks to my friend M, my lovely friend M from the lair, my twin, I've decided that I will read Musashi, but I'm going to do that thing that I said originally sounded too complicated because M says it sounds totally valid and it counts. And now, in the light of day, I also think that it does. Which is, so it's made up of 5 books. 5 separate books, right? And I'm already halfway through the book 1. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to count them as 5 separate books. At least until I have to either return or renew it. So I'm going to focus on finishing book 1, since it is my chosen focus right now. And then, if I feel like it, I may continue on to book 2, and that may be my next focus. But if I feel like pivoting, I can go and choose another book to focus on, like, say, A Marvelous Light or The Babysitter Lives. So I'll finish book 1 of Musashi, and then I'll go read The Babysitter Lives, and then I'll come back for book 2, and I'll treat them like separate books, since they are kind of technically separate books all in one. I think that'll be, as M said, it'll seem less like a daunting task, and I also will be able to get more done, and even if I don't finish it, then I will still have finished more books, you know, because even if I don't finish all 5, even if I finish 3, it's like, that's 3 books that I finished, so that's what we're gonna do. I've officially finished book 1. We are 1/7 of the way through this. Yeah, I said 5 books earlier. Don't know where, I think I was thinking of the Book of 5 Rings. It's 7 books. We're done with book 1. I just finished it. And that makes me 186 pages into this 1,600 page book. But that means we can either continue with book 2, or we can pick another book. And I honestly think that I'm going to pick another book just for the variety of it. I think I'm probably going to finish up Atomic Habits just because it's bothering me. I'm already halfway through it. It's not going to take me that long. And then I think I'll probably do The Babysitter Lives and then read another book in Musashi. Also, it's apparently about the Chinese character, so it's Musashi, because I don't know about the tone marks. Curious. I loved it, though. I loved it. I've read Vagabond. I've read like the first omnibus of it, which I know is, yeah, but I loved it. I love it so much. It's got that 5-star feeling. It has surprises. It's got humor. It's got beautiful lyrical writing. It's got that flat out there way of storytelling that is also interwoven with beautiful language and beautiful prose. I like that it's all laid out there in a way that just comes naturally. This sounds so stupid, but it's kind of Hemingway-esque in that way of, it's like this, where it's kind of very matter of fact, but it doesn't feel clunky. It doesn't feel like don't. Like, it feels very just smooth, and I love that. I love it. I love that it doesn't have to beef itself up with this, like, flowery language, which that has its time and place, don't get me wrong, but I like that it's able to be beautiful prose without having to rely on the stereotypical conventions of beautiful prose. That's what I was trying to say. So yeah, I think Atomic Habits is gonna be next, because I'll probably fly through it, but I'm loving this so far. And the end broke my heart. The end of book 1, forgive me, my poor girl. My girl just out here wanting to be loved. Might also just read Big Nate tonight, because I got in another Big Nate book. But I feel like I need to save that for, like, a Hail Mary. I'm feeling the pinch of wanting to read multiple ones, because I'm like, oh, well, I've got this Big Nate one, and I've also got this Stephen Graham Jones audiobook, and I've also got Atomic Habits, but it's not hurting too bad. Not yet. It's a little bit bothersome, It's a little bit irksome. But also, I think because I haven't had much time to read today, because I was working on my script and stuff, that it hasn't really hit that bad. Tomorrow, I'm gonna go get in bed. I don't think I'm gonna read any more of this. I think I'm just gonna get in bed and write and get some sleep, because I have a busy day tomorrow. Good morning. I've officially started reading Atomic Habits. I have less than 100 pages to go. My hope is to finish it this morning, before I go to work, before I go and have to run errands in town. That way, when I'm running errands in town, I can be listening to a second book of the day, I can be listening to an audiobook. That's the plan. But also, if I don't end up finishing it, and I just have to end up listening to music, oh no, the horror. The horror. So, yeah, I'm hoping to finish Atomic Habits next, because it's easy to fly through. It's a gym pop psychology book, and I don't say as an insult, I say that as, like, it's accessible and pretty easy to fly through. And I have an EPUB copy that I've got on my computer, so I do own it, but I hate Pages. I hate the Pages app on Mac, so I like to get it through Libby. But I can go back, like, I don't have to absorb everything. I do have a copy I can go back and annotate and really look at. But for now, I'm gonna make my breakfast and get my coffee, sit down, read, hopefully finish it. Once again, we're in my car, where I know the audio quality is going to be borked, but I'm just here to tell you that I decided I'm going to go with The Only Good Indians on audiobook is what I'm going to start, because I also have the physical book. But since I'm going to be driving and doing a lot of errands today, I figured that starting the audiobook of The Only Good Indians is probably a good way to go. We did it. I finished it. 5 out of 5 stars. Who is shocked? Has there been a Stephen Graham Jones that I haven't given 5 stars? I'm not going to think about that right now. I love this book. I still love I Was a Teenage Slasher the most, but I also really enjoyed this one. The Land Claims What We Leave Behind. Yeah, people were right in assuming that this was gonna be right up my alley. Women, nature, and a whole lot of, shadows that go bump even in the daytime. This one has been the most difficult for me to read so far, because I don't like to read it at night, because I was like, I'm already nightmare prone. It's gonna give me nightmares before I go to bed, so I didn't want to read it before I went to bed. The irony is, the one day that I did read this before bed, that night I had the first nice dream I had had all week. And it was that Stephen Graham Jones was like a professor, and I was taking his class in college. Like, he was teaching a writing class, and I was taking his class in college. He was like, you know what, I've tortured you enough. You've had enough torture. I'm gonna give you a nice stream. No, but I love this. I love the breaking the cycle, the consequences of the cycle, the terror of it. I don't see people like, this isn't horror. You probably think Bunny is insane, don't you? A lot of it is psychological horror, but a lot of it is also the nature terror of it, because nature isn't really horror. I mean, it is, but nature mostly thrives on terror rather than horror, if you want to get into the specifics of it. And I think this does a really, really amazing blend of it. It gets uncomfortable to the point where you're like, did that happen? Or did that, huh? And by the time you figure it out, you're already clunk. You know what I mean? So I really enjoyed this. I love this. But now, it's time to choose our next book. We're already a week into this. I kind of want to make it go 3 weeks, because I feel behind in doing this, but I'm not going to do that. Chey, we're only going to do 2 weeks. Maybe I'll do this as a reoccurring thing every now and then, like when I feel like my current reads are getting out of control. But we're going to stop it at 2 weeks for this. We're gonna have to, Chey. We're gonna have to. The next thing I want to do, though, the problem is, like, I want to keep getting an audiobook, but I can't, because I need... I think the next book that I'm going to pick up is either going to be A Marvelous Light, or it's going to be The Two Towers, or Lover Eternal. Because 2 of those I have an audiobook for, and 1 I do not. So it all depends, do I want to have an audiobook? I think not. Part of me is either leaning towards The Two Towers or A Marvelous Light. I'll let you know when I decide. Good morning. It's like 24 degrees outside, so I pulled my sweater back on this morning. I'm now reading The Two Towers. That's what I decided on. Did I tell you that? I decided on reading The Two Towers. I texted Nat, and I was like, Nat, A Marvelous Light or The Two Towers? And Nat was like, I should say The Two Towers. She wants me to read the romance, but I was like, you should, but will you? And she was like, yeah, I'll behave, because we're reading The Two Towers over on Nat's book club over on her Patreon. I'm only 1 chapter into it, but I see what Nat means. There's a lot more songs. Not that I mind. I've got the audiobook and I've got my physical book from like the 80s, the 60s, the 80s, whenever it was. And once again, I'm reminded by how accessible it is. Tolkien, I don't know why I hold you aloft to being like this inaccessible author. It's really not. At least not for me. I'm very excited to get into it. I'll be able to listen to audiobook on my way to work today. I think even though I have the audiobook, I will prefer to read it physically because I think I'll just read it a lot faster because I'll be able to pick stuff up with my eyes. Imagine if that was physically true. Like Gmod. Except the ray gun is in your eyes. But yeah, make a little bit of progress here and there on the way to work, or maybe I won't listen to it on the way to work or not. But it helps because, like, when I'm making my breakfast and stuff, I also like to listen to an audiobook. So it helps in little ways like that. But I think I'll continue reading in the physical book. And I'll let you know. I'm a little sad that this is our last week. Like, I want to keep this going. I almost like focusing on one book at a time. I like the challenge of it. I love the challenge of it. I want to go back to being able to read several books at a time. But I do like the challenge of reading one book at a time. It's Wednesday evening, y'all, and I just finished an hour of reading The Two Towers. I'm doing a thing where I'm reading for an hour before bed every night, and I'm really liking it. It's nice. It's a nice way to wind down. Clearly, I'm relaxed. I'm tired. I'm ready to go get into bed over there. I'm loving it. I missed this series so much. I missed the feeling that this type of fantasy and this type of writing gives me. I love it. I love it so much. It's so nostalgic for me because I read The Fellowship when I was so young, and I just never continued it. But this kind of fantasy is what got me into reading fantasy. I actually don't remember the first fantasy that I ever read. Maybe my parents did read. I feel like my parents did read The Lord of the Rings out loud to me, but obviously that's not the same as digesting them, reading them yourself when you're older. Anyway, that all goes to say, I just miss the type of feeling that this kind of fantasy writing gives me. And it's so nice to be back into it. I'm enjoying it so much. I have been jonesing to get sucked back into a fantasy book lately. To just sink my teeth into one. I've just been feeling it, and I'm so happy to do it. I'm so happy to do it. That being said, it's coming up on the end of the month, and I want to read so much other stuff. I found a couple of other shorter works that I really want to get to. My local library got a few things now available digitally that weren't available previously, like little half novellas of series that I was reading that I just need to read those novellas, and then the series will be complete for me, as well as the next in a series for like some graphic novels and stuff like that. So I may have put them all on loan. And so I'm ready to finish this because I just want to plow through all those before the end of the month and bulk up my numbers, but also to get those done because I'll finish some series, I'll get ahead in some series. I want the dopamine of a lot of quick little wins, but I am enjoying doing one at a time. That is just, I feel the ADHD dopamine of being like, but I have like these 5 things that I want to read that are going to take me like an hour to read, maybe for the entirety of them. But I know it'll be worth the wait. I'm hoping to finish, besides those, because that's going to be like 5 books. I hope, besides this and those 5, I'm hoping I can finish one more book before this video ends. But even so, I'm proud of myself so far. Please ignore the SpongeBob that you see reflecting on here. But I'm going to go to bed now. And I'm probably going to wake up. It's going to be a really rainy day tomorrow. I have got to get some scripting done. I've got to get ahead on my project. I've got to get this project done. But I spent some quality time outside with my dad and the dogs today, so I'm not complaining. I'm glad that, I made memories with them today, and that was nice. That's worth more than any YouTube project. But yeah, so I feel a little bit behind, but I'm gonna get in bed. That way I can get up early, work on that, and it's gonna be rainy all day tomorrow, and pretty much rainy all day Friday. I'm hoping to finish this tomorrow. That's the goal. The goal is to finish this tomorrow, to take breaks between my project with like listening to this or reading this physically, because I don't make much progress in it listening to an audiobook. I read much quicker physically. Anyway, rainy reading day and working day tomorrow. I'm about to finish Lord of the Rings, The Two Towers. It's been a little while since I talked to you, but it's been going pretty well. I am so glad to be back in this world. I'm so glad to be back in this kind of fantasy writing that I grew up with and just absolutely loved. I don't need to wax poetic about Tolkien's writing every you've been known. But it's very nostalgic for me for obvious reasons, and a big inspiration for my own fantasy love. And I don't know why I never continued with the series when I fell in love with the first one so much. Like, continue reading on my own, but I'm so glad I did. And I'm so ready for the third one. I'm so ready to just reread this or read it and finish the story I love. Can you tell I'm tired? I'm very tired, but I wanted to give you a quick little update before I finish it because I got a bunch of loans from my library that are ready to read. I'll talk about them a little more once I finish this, but I've been ready to read them and just bam, 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 bam for, like, cramming at the end of the month. I can't do a cramming vlog because I've already got so much other stuff going on that I'm filming right now, but next month I probably will, and it's gonna be like cramming, though, because I've got a lot of short things that I want to finish, that I want to read in this vlog, that I think will be good quick doses, quick hits after this, before I start on the next book. Because ideally, I'd like to finish this one. I know I'm going to finish this one. All those short ones, and I'd like to finish at least one more book before Monday. I think we can do it. Morning update that I finished Lord of the Rings, The Two Towers. I finished it last night. I'll talk more about it in a minute, but it's been so hard because I got into bed, and I was like, oh, I'll read one of the little things I got from Libby. And I started reading it. It was fine. And I was like, oh, well, this one's a little heavy. Maybe I'll go start on the next one. I can't go start on the next one. I have to finish the one that I'm on. So already, I'm kind of like, even in the little ones, even in the small ones, let's finish some books today. I know this is such a thing to come back to, but I'm reading the Big Nate book that I'm currently. No way he just made the panel I just came across. No way he just made. Hold on. I just might knock it over. No, you won't. Yeah, well, I'll come back later and we'll see about that. Fine. You won't knock it over. Hi, friends and family. We have a lot to talk about because it is the last day of this challenge, and I have not talked to you in a while, but I actually have good reason that is not just procrastination. It is that my phone has finally filled up on storage. It took a year, but it did, and so I couldn't, like, film anything, and so I will be zip-zam-zooming through these reviews that you've missed. I haven't just been there. I could not update because every 3 seconds it would cut it off. So, let's talk through what I have finished since I last talked to you. Did I end up talking to you about Atomic Habits? I don't know that I did, but I finished Atomic Habits and the quickest review in the world. I thought it was fine. I thought it was good that it had something everybody could take away from it. I recognized that it did not have a lot of things, a lot of allowances for people with neurodivergence. As someone with severe ADHD, trust me, I noticed. But a lot of the tips were tips, like, for ADHD. Like, the main things were things that usually apply to ADHD, which I was like, crazy that you're just telling people the way to stick to habits is just ADHD management, but okay. But I felt like that would be a whole entirely different rabbit hole for the author to have gone down, and so I understand why the author didn't. But I think that the book worked in the gen pop way of having something that everyone could take away from it, and I thought it was useful in that aspect. I think it should be used as a reference, not as a Bible, if that makes sense. And so for that, I was like, yeah, it's pretty good. I think I gave it like 4 stars or something like that. And then, to end off the month, I finished out The Babysitter Lives. Since we were coming up on the end of February, I was like, I can read one more book this month. I can fit in one more book. I want to start A Marvelous Light, but there was no way I was going to finish it in like one day. I had 200 pages to read in The Babysitter Lives so I could finish this entire book. So I read The Babysitter Lives. My friend, was it M? I think M was like, it is the most timey-wimey Stephen Graham Jones story of them all. And I said, that is the exact way to describe it. As a previous Whovian, it's very timey-wimey. And it's the most confusing Stephen Graham Jones I've ever read. It was great, but it was the most confusing, and I think it's meant to be that way on purpose. And my friend was like, it definitely made more sense upon reread. And it made sense, but I also think that it will make more sense upon reread. It's wild. This babysitter goes to babysit the night before Halloween, and these kids hide in these places in this house where they tend to disappear and then come out in another place in the house. This house that has a really bad history with a mom and her kids, and then turns out there's basically parallel universes of houses happening, and people slip into the cracks, and what happens when you can't get out? So I loved it. Really interesting. Also, felt personally attacked because SpongeBob is a big motif, like the kids watching SpongeBob, and I watch SpongeBob before I go to bed. Like, it's my comfort show to turn on and leave on. So I felt personally attacked. Raise your hand if you ever felt personally attacked by Stephen Graham Jones. No, but I loved it. So now that we're all caught up, it is the last day of this. And I'm going to start A Marvelous Light. I'm not going to finish it today. I have to work. I'm a human being. But I am going to start reading A Marvelous Light. I'm really excited. This has been a long time coming, and this is one of my books that I have left for my friends that have picked stuff out for me. Anyway, I'm really excited to read this. It's a magical queer romance, historical romance, queer fiction, magical. Yeah. I also have the audiobook, so I will be able to listen to it on the way to work and way back and get a good amount into it. So we'll talk then. But so far, my thoughts on this challenge have been really great. I've really liked it. I don't think it's something that I'm going to maintain for the long term. Like, it's not changing my reading habits entirely, but it's been a nice, like, fun experiment. It has. It's been challenging, but it's been fun. Okay, I have to get ready to go to work. Ladybug, you need to go outside. So, I will see you later. Alright, y'all, you've officially made it to the end of the video. Give yourself a round of applause, and please give me a round of applause for managing to maintain part of my sanity. Kind of just, it's a little bit on the nose, isn't it? Now, you might realize there's a discrepancy. There's a few reviews missing, so we're gonna fly through those really quick here at the end. Going in order, I don't think I talked to you about The Two Towers. Maybe I did. I think I gave you a good enough thing, but really my opinions didn't change when I did finish it. I love this. I know a lot of people tout it as the most boring Lord of the Rings book, but I disagree with them. I think it's really interesting delving more into the history of Middle-earth and places like Rohan, I almost said Gohan, completely different franchise, Chey. Rohan and Gondor, that's where the G came in. Mystery solved. I love delving into those places. Maybe it's the fact that I'm a nerdy history major, but I absolutely love it. I love getting to see the characters build in quiet moments and getting to watch the world build itself in these quieter moments. I loved it, and it just made me more excited for the third book, because you need the breathing room so that when stuff is going down, you're like, oh, I miss when things were boring, because this is horrible. I hate this pain. I take me back to eating potatoes with Smeagol instead of watching all my favorites just, you know, or almost get, you know. So yeah, love this. 5 stars, of course. Obviously, Big Nate Welcome to My World ended up being 5 stars for that dark humor joke, but it was funnier than the last Big Nate that I read, but also I don't strictly rate those too harshly because they're kids' graphic novels. I'm just there for a fun brain break time. But I absolutely loved it, and I'm just having such a fun, goofy time going through this series, and just breath of fresh air. Breath of fresh air with just some nice humor, you know? Then, the 2 library loans I was telling you about that I did not go further into. So I read the series when I was in middle school called The Immortal Secrets, The Secrets of the Immortal Nicholas Flamel. I'm looking at the bunch of books that are down there on that shelf. Do y'all remember that series? That was popular when I was like in middle school, and I absolutely loved them. The premise of the series is like Nicholas Flamel. If you've seen the HP movies, you know, the guy that made the Sorcerer's Stone, Secret to Eternal Life, blah, 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 blah. Yeah, he's real with his wife, and there's like this ancient island where all these immortal beings were, and they've discovered the secret to immortality, and like there's different clans and groups fighting for different values and beliefs, and it deals with a whole bunch of historical figures. It's really fun. Well, I recently discovered that the author, in the meantime since I finished the series, or at least I'm just now discovering it, had written short stories that take place within the timeline, so like, but novella 4.5, novella 5.5, and I was like, since when? And so those were the loans that I got. The first one was The Death of Joan of Arc, which was about like 20 pages. It was really, really quick. It was really good. It was essentially just because Joan of Arc is a character in it, essentially how Joan of Arc escaped her very famous timely demise, and what happened, who saved her, how did she escape, and that shenanigan. It was really fun because it was like written like it was a primary source from someone who was there and is now years on being like, I'm gonna tell the truth about what I saw because I'm about to be no longer of this earth, so y'all need to know the truth, and it's crazy, and I don't care if you think I'm crazy because I'm about to be no longer of this earth, so who gives a darn? So yeah, I liked it. Then the second one, the second one was the one I was most excited for because it was Billy the Kid in the Vampires of Vegas. Billy the Kid was my absolute favorite character in this series. What can I say? What can I say? I'm a sucker for Billy the Kid. And recently I've gotten back into a Billy the Kid historical phase. I don't know why. I've never really been into Western. Like, I find it fascinating, it's interesting, and, I have some family lore out west, but like, I've never delved towards that side of history to be like, man, I want to read about the gold rush. So why am I inkling towards Billy the Kid? I don't know, but I think it's just the middle school interest. I'm a little bit over 25 years old now. All that's coming back to haunt me. He was my favorite in this series, and so now I'm just, it's in the back of the conscience. Anyway, so when I saw that this was Billy the Kid, the Vampires of Vegas, my favorite character from the series, I was like, more of my favorite guy? There he is! My favorite white boy! It was such a fun time. I loved it so much. I mainly just loved being back in this world with two of my favorite characters, because it's not just him, it's another one of the main characters. They both kind of end up going on this mission of sorts. For character number 2 gets a call from a loved one they thought was long gone, and they're like, hey, come help me, and then Billy sort of just gets roped into it because he happens to be there and have a car, and he's like, I don't know you, but I'll go with you to drop you off, because she's like, hey, take me and drop me off, I don't care what you do after that. And then they end up working together and fighting off vampires and dealing with memory and revenge, and is it a trap, is it not? And it was fun for like it's like 60 pages, a little 60-page novella. It was really fun, and it made me want to get back into the series, like maybe do a reread someday. Also made me want to write fanfiction. And the last book that I read, y'all knew we had to end it on Stephen Graham Jones, The Babysitter Lives, so that I could finish out the duology of this for the month. And, technically, I think I finished this on March 1st, but we're not going to talk about that to anyone. It counts towards my February reads. Don't worry about it. It's only my stats, not yours. I love this, though. It is the most, I've said this in a different video, but it's the most timey-wimey of all of Stephen Graham Jones' work that I've read so far, but it is such a true-to-form haunted house story. So there's a part at the end back here that I think perfectly sums it up in his acknowledgements, where I think as a person who I also love the concept of how memory haunts spaces and places. If you notice, memory's a big running theme with me. Wonder why? So there's a part in his acknowledgements where he says, more important than the quill or its story, though, what this fallen down place taught me was that a house can be dangerous. Yes, it can be dangerous as anything, but that doesn't mean it always eats you, even when it really, really wants to. Sometimes it will. If I'd gotten a face full of quills or opened my back on a square 10-penny nail, then maybe I'd bake dead out under that roof, but not always. If you get it, you get it. If you get it, you get it. There's hope when dealing with a haunted house, I'm saying. There's the thinnest sliver of light waiting up ahead at the end of this ordeal. It was so timey-wimey. I like that I never knew how this was gonna end up. I like that I never know where his stuff is going, even if I feel like a lot of the themes are familiar, I'm like, which way is this going to be explored now? Who's going to get got and how? Because I certainly never see that coming. The kills in this were really good. The gore was good. The creep factor was way up there, especially in moments where I was confused or I wasn't confused. The sensory overload that is described in this book made me want to break something. I listened to this partially on audio whenever I was doing stuff around the house, and then I would come back and read this, and even reading it or even listening to audio, the descriptions of like the beanbags like spiders hatching an egg. No, Stephen. No. This book is the opposite of a sensory deprivation tank. And imagine doing that, a sensory overload tank, overstimulation, while trying to solve a Rubik's Cube that is made out of I Can Has cheeseburger memes from 2013. Oh, and two little kids are playing hide and seek, taking pieces of the Rubik's Cube from you. That's pretty much what this book is. Of the duology, I think I did like Killer on the Road more, but I'm a sucker for a road horror story, and Off the Reservation is apparently supposed to be one, so don't do that. Alright, let's get to the final wrap-up, shall we? So all in all, we ended up reading 9 books over the course of these 2 weeks. 4 of them off my physical TBR. Not bad. Not a bad ratio, especially when the other 5 were from the library. That's almost half off my physical TBR. That's good. That's a good ratio for Chey because I clearly have a lot more to work with. So how did this experiment go overall? Honestly, I really liked it. I thought it was going to be a lot more torturous than what it was, and it wasn't. I actually liked it a lot. Now, there were frustrating moments, especially when I think the secret is that I need to get books that I can both get on audio and have physically. Because where I found some friction was when I only had an audiobook and I was wanting just something physical to do, or I didn't just want to like listen to something, and I was like, man, I want to look at something else. I want to do something else. I don't just want to listen to something. I want to be able to like flip through the pages myself, or vice versa if I only had it physically and I wanted to, drive and listen to it and I couldn't because I didn't have the audio. And sometimes I didn't want to push through a longer book. Sometimes I just like Lord of the Rings. I'm like, man, is this ever gonna end? Like, I'm enjoying it, but I just need a little bit of a break. I'm like, man, I would have loved to have had a Big Nate or another Bronze Key, just something that, a little bit of a different taste. It's like having the same food for every single meal. But those moments I feel like were far and few between once I got used to it, because I think it offset itself by the fact that I was plowing through things a lot faster, so I didn't have much time to dwell on that. It was just in the little moments here and there whenever I was like, man, I'm making my coffee and I want to listen to something, but I can't listen to it because I don't have the audiobook, And that's a complaint that I will take. Otherwise, I really enjoyed it because I plowed through a lot of stuff a lot faster instead of diverting my attention to 30 pages here, 30 pages there. Like, I just went bam, 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 bam. But, will I be implementing this as my new routine? No. And I'll tell you why. Because I simply don't want to. I like having a variety of books to read. I like jumping from one to another. I think this did teach me that I can do it if I want to. And honestly, I would do this, but I would treat it in the way that I treat a 24-hour readathon. A challenge to do every now and then when I'm feeling overwhelmed by my choice of reads, or I feel a little bit backed up in my current reads, but not something that I would do on the regular. So if I get up to having 38 current reads or something or whatever, or there's one book I feel like I'm particularly lagging on, then I might, for a week, do this challenge just to give myself some momentum. It's not something that I would do regularly, but it's not something I would not ever do again. I think that's right. This was fun though. I like this. And if you like this, make sure you hit that like button down below. And if you want to see more content like this, if you want to see what other challenges, whatever potential torture I can come up with for myself, experiments I can come up with for myself, make sure you hit the subscribe button down below and stick around to see what happens. But for now, that's going to be it for me. Thank you everybody so much for watching, and if you ain't heard from anyone else today, I love you. Love and peace. Bye!